Holy
and a second-round pick.
Peyton, 1 year?
In 2012, Sean Payton suspended 1 year.
Oh, my God.
Hey. They hit them.
Wow. From WWLTV Channel 4, this is breaking news.
Well, the news Saints fans have been waiting for is in, and it is not good. It's worse than we ever expected. Let's go right to Doug. This is unbelievable.
It is just hitting the wires now. We're just learning, and this is not confirmed yet. We're hearing that Sean Payton suspended 1 year from the Saints. Mickey Loomis, 8 games, $500,000 fine. The Saints, $500,000 fine. They would lose a second-round pick this year and a second-round pick next year. But the biggie would be Sean Payton, Saints head coach, apparently suspended 1 year by the NFL in relation to the bounty program.
And we were just talking with Saints, former Saints official Jim Miller. This is unprecedented. We can't even think of a time when another coach was ever suspended, but especially for a year, that's a huge suspension.
It's certainly a huge suspension for Sean Payton, unprecedented. We had talked to Gabe Feldman, the Tulane sports law professor, a couple of weeks ago. He expected the penalties to be more severe than the NFL had ever laid out before for a couple of reasons. One, because of concussion litigation coming down. Now, granted, that happened maybe 20 years ago. Two, the NFL leery of Congress stepping in to make them do things to protect players.
So there are a bunch of lawsuits sitting around.
A lot of lawsuits related to concussions, and as he explained it, the penalties may not fit the crime per se. The penalties may fit making sure the crime never happens again. Jim Miller now joining us on set, and Jim, your first reaction, assuming that this is true, Sean Payton suspended for 1 year, obviously more severe than many of us even expected.
Doug, I'm blown away by it. I really am. As we talk, there's never been a coach suspended any length of time. They haven't said yet what Greg Williams, if Sean Payton's suspended for a year, Greg Williams may get a lifetime suspension. I don't know yet. That hasn't been put out yet. But Sean Payton was the oversight of the program. It was on his watch. It was his responsibility. The same for Mickey. And I can see that Goodell drawing a hard line here.
And they said they wanted to make an example out of this. And as you said, this is really shocking.
It's very shocking. But again, Goodell has gone way out with concussions, player safety. That's the main issue. And to have a team actually offer incentives to hurt people just totally violates the commissioner's push for the last several years. So I can understand him taking a hard line. But I'm very surprised that it's this hard line.
And in the NFL, the way the commissioner's power is dictated, you do not have it. Certainly you can ask for an appeal. The commissioner has no obligation to take an appeal. His word is final, correct?
His word is law, Doug. There will be appeals, I'm sure, but the commissioner who made the ruling is the final arbiter. You don't have several layers of courts to go through or several layers of NFL committees. The commissioner made the ruling, and the commissioner will hear an appeal, and it's unlikely it'll be any less than it is now.
All right, so what does this mean for the Saints? I mean, this is going to be an unbelievable year for Andrea.
You know, the bad thing about it is that the Super Bowl is going to be here this year. Everybody was hoping that the Saints would be in the Super Bowl. Boy, that boat sailed, I think. You've got to hope that Drew Brees signs quickly. You've got to hope that they make other provisions. But they're going to be scrambling now in the front office, and nobody knows the answer right now.
This investigation has been going on for quite some time. This is not something that just popped up this season.
No, that's true. It's been going on for 3 years. There have always been rumors of these things going on, but for something to be this graphic and this severe and this violent of the time being, again, Goodell's push against concussions, player injuries. It's the temperature. If this had happened 10 years ago, maybe it wouldn't have been that.
Just told Greg Williams was suspended indefinitely.
And Greg Williams suspended indefinitely, adding to Mickey Loomis suspended 8 games. Sean Payton suspended 1 year by the NFL after the bounty program investigations. And when you look, Jim, at NFL head coaches, some are more administrators. Some give power to offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and sit back a little bit. That is not Sean Payton. Sean Payton takes an extremely active hand in the Saints' offense. Now, granted, as long as you got Drew Brees running the show, you feel like you got a shot. But the active hand that Sean Payton takes in this offense This one's really going to affect the Saints, maybe more so than some teams might, depending on the personality of the head coach.
Well, you're exactly right, but you know, I can see him. Joe Bett is acting head coach, interim head coach for a year. I can see Pete Carmichael handling the offense. Luckily, we had a microcosm of that last year when Sean was injured, when he was hurt on the sideline. So you did have guys stepping up. You don't want it for a season, but that's what they're forced into now.
Well, let's go exactly what this means for the Saints. He cannot come anywhere near the Saints if this is true?
That, if that news is true, that's exactly what it means. He can't have any contact with the Saints for 1 year.
Sean Payton's suspension, we're just hearing, will begin April 1st. 1 year from April 1st, which means in a few days, in a very short time, he is out of the draft mix. He'll be out of every mix. Competitive balance standpoint, you wondered how much this would affect the competitive balance. Obviously, this will have a huge effect on the Saints competitively this year, but the NFL, weighing the options, thought it was important enough to put their foot down on this problem, to do that to a team.
Well, they wanted to prove that nobody's going to do it again. They wanted to send it a warning, and they have certainly sent the message. This is by far worse than anybody ever expected.
And you know, we have heard that the Saints have been warned, that Tom Benson had said to the coaching staff, don't do this anymore, this has got to stop. And apparently it kept on going, and that was probably one of the big problems with this whole deal.
Well, if all that's true,
and again, we don't know.
And Commissioner Goodell obviously thinks it's true, and there's oversight. There's got to be oversight of dribbling down, trickling down oversight. There's an owner, there's a general manager, there's coaches, and everybody at every level has to know the rules and does know the rules. And any violation, it's got to start at the top. It's got to trickle down, and if there's a violation, somebody's got to say stop.
And you know, when Peyton was injured, he was able to at least coach from upstairs. As we said, this is a whole different ballgame. He'll be gone away from that team. He can have no contact whatsoever.
Exactly right. And again, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Saints handle this.
And we are now getting official word from the NFL, and this is official word from the NFL. Player sanctions are still being discussed, could come at a later time. The Saints are fined $500,000. They lose a second-round draft pick. They do not have a first-round draft pick this year, so that means the Saints will have their first pick in the third round this year. Their second-round draft pick of 2012 and 2013 officially gone. The NFL says Sean Payton is suspended without pay for the entire 2012 NFL season. That is effective April 1st. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis suspended without pay for the first 8 regular season games of 2012.